Welcome to the third episode of Culturama with LaChance and
Mizzy,
where we're bringing the culture
and the drama.
So what we getting into today, girl?
I don't know, friend. I feel like we should really get into something that I feel like has been all over the internet.
All over.
Like, very much saturated. And that is women in male fields.
Mm-hmm.
That is something, like, that's a trend that I find hilarious because people like to say women aren't funny, but I feel like this is where we could flex our muscles a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hold on, because I'm like really living for this trend. Like,
I know you are. Oh, I know you are.
Not too much. You see how she tried to put my business out there?
Ain't no business out. But if you know, you know.
Huh.
If you know, you know.
No. So I'm like really living for this trend because I really like that women are able to be goofy.
Yeah.
We're able to kind of like take control over our dating or whatever it is that they're posting in relation to women in male fields. And it's just really like a way for us women to kind of bond over kind of some of the terrible shit that has happened or that we have experienced that we all can relate to. So I'm really fucking with this trend for real.
But I feel like too, what's funny is the fact that like it's really a way for us as women to kind of combat this stereotype that we're just like these people that are hell-bent on monogamy and be going outside.
Facts.
Like, and I love that because it's like it's a lot of women out here that aren't lover girls, that aren't, you know, self-sacrificing for a relationship. Some of us just want to have fun. Some of us be doing the same shit like as niggas. So I really enjoy the trend. But
What's yours? What's yours? Women in male fields.
Because I was actually wondering like where it even came from. Because I'm like not on TikTok, as you know, but like I just wonder how we even got here. How did we get here? How did you get here?
Bitch, I caught the buzz.
Nobody's supposed to be here.
You know, I came up.
Hold on, because that sounded kind of good. Like, I really feel like I could sing, y'all, and like that.
Yeah. Girl, you can't sing.
I can't. In my head.
In my mind, I can sing too, though.
But in my head, I really feel like I can. So, like, I don't care about y'all's opinion. And it's just kind of like, too, like, why is it that people that can sing are the only ones that's allotted the privilege to sing? Like, I feel like everybody should be able to sing.
Hear cats dying.
But everybody,
Hit your note again, friend. Hit your note again.
How did you get here? That sounds good. I don't care what
One more.
Nobody's supposed to be here.
What's the next part?
I don't know. No, I'm telling y'all right now, 10 out of 10. Get me in the booth.
Don't get her in the booth.
I love to sing. I feel like that's something that everybody should be able to do. It's so much fun. Like, what?
So back to women in male fields.
Let's get back to the topic.
Let's get back to that.
We'll get back to my singing later.
So, what's yours? Because, I mean, like, you've been seeing the trend. What does it look like? What are they saying? What's yours? Give an example.
I think mine would be... like asking a nigga why he mad after he just told you. Women in male fields.
Yeah.
What you got?
I like that.
What you working with? Mine. Shit, pick up with some bullshit, y'all.
Call one nigga before you go out on a date with the other nigga, so the original nigga don't call you while you out with the other nigga. Hashtag women in male fields.
Are y'all catching this?
I just gave y'all the tip right there. That's the key.
Are y'all getting this?
Make sure you call him. You know, babe, I'm finna go out.
Look, Mike's on.
I'm finna go out, you know. I'm gonna be with the girls for a little bit, you know. We finna go out for a little hour or two, and I'm gonna hit you back when we done, okay?
That's T. Y'all better be clocking that. That is
no.
T.
I know dudes do that too. But I feel like dudes don't do that.
But I feel like dudes do that too. But that's actually really smart because of the simple fact, like, if you already kind of tapped in with one, they not finna be bothering you while you like on your date or like with the next dude. I don't even want to say too much more because we don't need the niggas. Cause I don't know, they might be tapping in. I'm gonna give away
my whole playbook.
They might be tapping in. We don't need to be giving them the handbook. Cause they gonna be like, bitches, you really going out with your friends? But I feel like too though, I don't know. I think in a way, like it's refreshing. Like
it's very refreshing to see this trend. Like, first of all, like I said, let me know I'm not alone. I got other women who have experienced the same bullshit, but it also like enables my bullshit. You get what I'm saying? Like I like that. Okay, you giving me little tips, little tricks that you know you want to play. I too could play this game.
But what I will say, girls, come here closely. Listen. Bullshit with bullshitters. If you know that nigga a shiner, do not fucking bullshit. Bullshit with bullshitters. If you know he's a whore, do what you gotta do. Like, what? But if you know that he's a good guy and he really interested in you.
But I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate right here because I feel like though there are guys who have the tendency to be good, they still be bullshitting. Like, sometimes you gotta, like, you know, be on bullshit with a good guy to let him know that you are also a good person. If that makes sense.
I hear you. And I figured you would say some shit like that. But what I will say is to use your discernment as a woman. We create life, so we know life. So at the end of the day, if you kind of suss out something, you peep something, you know what I'm saying? Move accordingly. Remind a nigga that you really that bitch on God.
Yeah, because I feel like whether or not he is a good guy, and I feel like, I mean, at least us, I feel like most of the guys that we're around, if not all, I leave some room because I don't know. But most of the guys that we're around, I do feel like they're good guys. And they approach women in the most respectful way that you're supposed to be approaching a woman. Otherwise, you wouldn't be my friend if you didn't, you know? Right. But at the same time, they still be having their moments. They be having their tendencies where they be on bullshit. And I feel like that's when it's the woman's job to do her due diligence to, once again, like you just said, remind them that you're still that bitch. And I just think that's
reciprocation.
I just think that's with guys. Like, I feel like, or people to a certain extent, you get to a place of complacency, and when you come to that almost that stagnant place, you gotta kind of do some shit to shake it up.
Yeah, and that's why I think too, like, you kind of just gotta vibe it out. Don't treat every nigga like a template. Like, every dude is different. They're people essentially, but at the same time, like, don't let a nigga play in your face. This is not chess, bitch.
But
tighten up.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be hard to, because niggas play every day. They play every day.
But you gotta play back. But you got to play
back. That's my point exactly.
Like, don't overdo your role. Especially if it's not defined. Don't overdo your role. Let me tell you something. Niggas don't want an understanding bitch. They don't want a bitch that is kind or accepting to their situation. They like bitches with standards. Don't ever feel like you gotta sacrifice your standards. Be hard on these niggas. Be mean if you got to. Throw tantrums if you got to. The right nigga, he not gonna put up with that shit. And then you gonna be like, okay, I'll just play. I just playing. And you know, okay, this a real nigga. Niggas that's weak on the hoe, that ain't got no self-control, that's really just fiending, they gonna give in to that shit. But that's why it's like, it's a case-by-case type of...
It is. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I just feel like the thing that bothers me is because we live in such a male-dominated society where everything is directed towards the male gaze, to what they like, what they cultivate. It's hard for us as women to just be. And I feel like this trend, the reason why I like it so much, because it creates space for that, for us to just be, you know? Yeah. And I just feel like it's very hard to navigate male-dominated spaces. And one of the biggest or the hardest spaces to navigate clearly is when you at work. Yes. You cannot escape dudes, know where you go, but especially when you at work.
And I feel like too, like, you know, this trend I especially like because it's like us demanding space for ourselves. And like you said with work, like we both work in very male dominated industries and we're breaking into one right now with this podcast.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna get into that though.
Right, we're gonna get it more into that. But when you're in these spaces, like I think a lot of women forget that they have a lot more control and can yield a lot more of that control in a very feminine way that goes unnoticed. Yeah. Like there's a lot of ways you can really just, you know, come into a room, command attention, and also like get the job done. You know, there's creative ways you have to do that as a woman. Like personally, for me, when I was younger, and like how we talked about previously, like when I used to do the shows at Xavier and stuff like that, like I didn't give a shit about being called a bitch. I didn't give a fuck about how people view me and stuff like that. But as I got into more professional spaces, I had to be a little bit more aware of that because it would make my job a little bit harder coming in there like, this what I want, this what you gotta do, da-da-da-da, and stuff like that. One tip that I would give y'all, if y'all in male-dominated industries, play dumb.
They do like that though.
They like it's because it's
the damsel in distress. They like to be Captain Save-A-Ho.
And when they talking about some shit that you already know, tune out. Think about some shit you want to buy. Think about some shit you been eyeballing. Think about some shit you got to get from the store. Just tune that shit the fuck out. But at the end of the day, when you act confused, use questions also as a way to get to the point with people. If somebody's doing something wrong, don't you think you could do it this way? Or what if we did it this way?
I just feel like the reality of it is, though, we as women are always going to be on the losing end of the stick. So, like, what we're saying here is if you feel like the way you've been doing things aren't working. Yeah, because I just feel like, you know, I've had my experience before in male-dominated spaces when I worked in my first newsroom ever. We're not going to say no names, even though I really want to. But worked in my first male-dominated space, being in that newsroom. Not only was it male-dominated, but they were older males. And I think that's something else that we got to keep in mind too, is because when you're older, there's this sense of wisdom almost. But it's also an imposal of that wisdom in that specific environment that I was in. And I just felt like whatever I did, no matter if I was the quiet, timid girl, or if I was vocal and like really questioning, or if I was, you know, going with the flow and just being very moldable, it didn't do me any favors at all, just because the simple fact that they always seen themselves above. Now, it could have been because I was a woman. It could have been from the fact that they were older than me and I was the youngest in that entire newsroom at the time. It could have been so many other different factors, but what I did notice was the other microaggressions to other women. Like, I watched one of my bosses literally yell at my boss, who was a female, And it made me so uncomfortable that I had to literally pull her to the side and ask her, like, hey, are you good? Yeah. Are you okay? Because what just happened here was uncomfortable even for me.
And it's a lot of situations like that like you may not like realize in the moment sometimes, but then when you go back home, you like, damn, that was crazy. Like, but at the same time, like, it is very, very hard to navigate male-dominated industries. And especially when you don't have the support from other women. Like, I feel like...
Yeah, because don't go get me started on that lady. Because she turned around, she threw me under the bus after that.
No, because I do feel like some women, like, they don't know how to stand up for themselves. They don't know how to really gain respect in those situations. And so they do whatever techniques they can in order to get that. But at the end of the day, one thing I don't give a fuck about is disrespect. I hate that shit with a passion. And even when I was younger, like, I hate seeing bullies. I hate it. And I was always that person. I knew how to roast like a motherfucker. Like, I knew how to really fire a nigga up. So, like, anytime I seen somebody, like, getting roasted or, like, just getting bullied in a sense, like, I would always stick up for them. And, like, in my adulthood, it's kind of, like, translated in a sense. But at the end of the day, I'm not putting up with none of that shit, bro.
But I really want to talk about male ego, because I feel like that's what's really driving a lot of the domination within these spaces, is because it's an ego game. It's an ego war. It really
is. And I think, too, and as a woman, you kind of do have to, just a little bit, not too much, stroke a man's ego, but also insert it with your agenda in a way. Like, I know you probably did this before, or I know you probably know this already, but we have to do it this way. That's kind of how I navigate those situations. When I feel a nigga ego, when I feel that bravado, I'm like, you probably already know this, but make sure you do it this way. Oh, you probably, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of how
my question for you is, in those situations, though, how is that received? Because I feel like for a man with the ego who can't see past that, they might view that as condescending, or they might view that as you questioning their authority, which I've had that happen before.
Yeah. And for me, it's always been received pretty well. But at the same time, like, I always kind of follow it up with, you know, I just had to make sure I say that because they told me, you know, they wanted to make sure that we did it this way. You know, so I think, too, like, put that shit on somebody else. Like, at the end of the day, like, in the industry that I work with, it don't matter how you get it done. You just got to get that shit done. So however you got to maneuver in those situations to get the job done, you have to do that. And so it's like, in a sense, you know, just let them know, look, they wanted to make sure that we have it this way. I know you probably already gonna do that, but I'm just letting you know because I wouldn't feel right if I didn't say it.
I get it.
You get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying, but I feel like one of the problems that we have is that we can't escape the stereotypes that's placed on us as women, us as black women. I just feel like a lot of these times when we navigate these spaces, once again, you can do it to the best of your ability. Right. But there could be somebody that comes in and just completely cut that down. Thanks. And they use a stereotype to do that shit. Like,
and I do hate that because, like, there are certain stereotypes as women that maybe I fall victim to too, because, like, in the industry that I work in, it's a lot of, you know, code names for things. It's a lot of, like, you know, different, like, technical names for stuff. I don't know the shit. I'm not going to cap to you. I can't even tell you what kind of underwear I have on today. You think I'm gonna keep all of this?
That's crazy, friend. That's crazy.
They're orange. That's about it. That's all I got for you. But at the same time, like, I have so much going on to the point where I'm not, keeping track of every little technical detail. But if you say it, or if I can describe it to you, then it's fine. But I've had that used against me, like, oh, she don't know what she doing, or she's young, or, she just got here because she cute or whatever. She is cute, but I know what the fuck I'm doing. And I may not have the correct verbiage for it, but at the end of the day, like, I'm where I am for a reason. And sometimes you do gotta fucking flex your muscles a little bit. Shout out to the women in male fields.
Oh, you want to know what I find interesting, though, about this whole trend is I haven't really seen, at least me personally, I haven't really seen most men's reaction to it.
I'm wondering that too. Like, how do men feel about the trend? So if you're a guy and you've seen the trend, let us know what your thoughts are on it, because I would love to know your
I really want to know. I really want to know because I feel like these last few years we've been having a conversation about how the gender roles, how now swapped, and how women are becoming more masculine while men are becoming more feminine.
And that trend, this trend is a part of that. Yeah, it's definitely a side effect of that.
Yeah,
it definitely is. And I think I wouldn't even say that the gender roles are necessarily changing, I would say. But I would say that women are starting not to be as naive and just...
Oh, I think they changing. You ain't gonna find me barefoot, pregnant, in no kitchen cooking. You ain't gonna find me there.
I like to cook me, but...
Me, I mean, like I said, personally, no, you're not gonna find me.
No, I wouldn't. You're not gonna
find me doing what I can do to be a homemaker just for the sake of a man.
Yeah, I feel like it is a lot more women now that don't just want to be homemakers. Like, if you want to take me out the game and make me a stay-at-home wife, ain't nothing but space and opportunity, baby. Hello, but at the same time, like, I know what type of bitch I am, and I know I like to work. I like the work that I do, and that's not gonna last for too long. But
no, mine is gonna last for a lifetime. You know what's not gonna last for too long?
Wait, so
you're for survival. That's
so you're saying you could be a housewife for a long periodically time?
Yeah, I feel like I could. I'm not gonna be a traditional housewife, but I can definitely be a housewife.
Rocky your shit, bro. You said this shit was nasty. Shut the fuck up. And who the fuck asked you?
Cause first of all, no, I'm not. With the right guy, I'll be sweet and dainty. But if you want that gangster, you gonna bring it up out of me. That's just what it is. Like,
this bitch.
You want a soft girl, you gotta make a soft girl. I think that's the problem that guys have, is that they don't approach us as soft women. They kind of come with that mentality already that we hard, we doing this, we doing that, we live in a fast lifestyle. And I just feel like for a lot of women, that's not the case, like the way guys think that it is.
But I think too, one of the things is that, like, since those roles are like reversing a little bit, like certain gender norms aren't necessarily like married to certain genders anymore. I think one of the side effects of that is the fact that, like, you have to figure out what it is that you like to do, what it is you want to do in these partnerships. It isn't dependent on whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying, your gender is. But, like, for some partners or some couples, you know, the woman takes the lead and stuff like that. With my parents, my dad is the main cooker of the family. Mom don't even cook no more. My dad works from home. Like, my mom goes out and work. She picks up, you know, my little sister from school, but my dad makes her lunch. You know, like, my dad was making my lunch all the way up until high school. But there's certain things that I think now it's more on a person by person rather than this overarching rule that everybody have to do it this way. Everybody got to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I also feel like in the same sense, there's also certain things that are happening that's starting to become the norm for certain genders. Like, for example, now if you see most dudes now, if they see a pretty girl, they're gonna automatically assume that she's dating around, or that she has multiple men, or that she has a roster. And you might meet one woman who is like that, and then you might meet another woman who is the same exact way. They just don't have a roster. So I think that this trend is kind of like revealing to, you know, certain norms now are being associated. Like, now it's a norm that you know you can't just approach women with some bullshit. Like, you gotta come correct. You gotta come ready to have something in your vault. Or, you know, another dude gonna step to her who got it. His chances is better. So I feel like it's certain things like that are now also being affected by this whole mentality of women entering male spaces, or women starting to assume these male roles that wasn't associated with them before.
But I'll say this too, though. And don't come for me, because I know how you hoes like to do. But I think what we're seeing and what we're experiencing now is really us pushing the fucking bar up. After Mildred and fucking Gertrude let that motherfucker go to hell.
You know,
Oh, God.
You know who Mildred and Gertrude is? That's your grandmas who was okay with your granddaddy going and having a fucking family down the street. No whole time he got little Jane, Sarah, and Sally Mae that's down there. And your grandma know that Jane, Mary, and Sally Mae is down there. And she okay with him coming back home every night.
We're not going for none of that shit.
None of it.
Fuck no. You got me fucked up. I'm sorry. And I think too, what men are, that shift that's happening in men is they're learning and developing self-control. If you can't, because some men, they'll never develop.
I still feel like niggas as a whole don't have self-control.
They'll never develop that. Some dudes, they'll never develop that. But there are certain caveats of men that are starting to have self-control, because why? You get into the motherfucking bag, you can't afford to just trick off on any old bitch now. You know what I'm saying? You get into the bag. Okay, I can't just fuck on anybody now. You know? So I think a benefit to it is that certain men are starting to get like self-control and not just be whores. But at the same time, like I said, we really are starting to have to push the standard up, because, baby, I don't need you to get no motherfucking house. I don't need you to get a fucking loan from the bank or nothing like that. You actually gotta really fuck with a nigga nowadays to really settle down with them. You don't, well, some women do, but a lot of career women that's, you know, have their own motion, they really don't need a nigga to like spot them.
But I mean, I think that in saying that too, we have to also recognize that the reason why that's happening is because the institution of marriage isn't the same anymore. Yeah. Like, women don't have to get married to make sure that they have a substantial amount to support themselves or their future family. They don't have to be married to, you know, have some sort of influence, i.e., you know, what they say is behind a strong man is a stronger woman. That mentality, where that comes from.
Bitch, I'm weak. Goddamn. I ain't
For
strong.
my man, I'm definitely weak in the knees.
Yeah, bitch. I'm strong on the outside. If you see me at work, bitch, I'm motherfucking Iron Man in that bitch. Goddamn. Fuck yeah.
You're stupid.
Bitch, when I'm at home, what you need? I feel like that is literally my vibe. Like, I'm definitely, I don't want to be strong.
I feel like I have the tendency to be that, but I feel like the only way I can be that is if everything else is taken care of. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Because I feel like I spend a lot of time myself make sure everything's taken care of. Is this done? Is this done? Is this done? Is this done? So the only way that I feel like I could truly be like that is if I have a man that steps up and, okay, I know she's going to be worried about all of these things. So let me help. Let me make sure that's already done. Right. So when it come down to it, all of those are checked. And I feel like for a lot of women, that is the difference. Like, that's the difference from the hard, strong, tough woman that you get, or the submissive, willing to surrender, willing to let you lead woman, is you have to actually show that you have the capacity to do that. And the reality is, a lot of you niggas be asking for wife materials, but don't be showing husband mentality.
Y'all are whores. Stop looking at every nigga like he a husband. A lot of them is whores. I'm not playing. And at the end of the day, if I gotta go behind you and triple check, double check, quadruple check shit every time you do some shit, I don't trust you. A lot of what you just said has to do with trust. If I can trust you with making decisions, I can trust you that you're gonna make the best decision for us as a unit, I can sit back and, not question you. But a lot of y'all, we gotta question y'all. We have to ask these certain things because we know if we don't ask them, y'all are gonna fuck up. And that is directly tied to how your mother raised you. If your mother raised you to look at yourself like a shining star and not hold yourself accountable, then it's our job to then hold you accountable for certain things, and then we the bad guy for that. Yeah. But at the same time,
which I feel like most black women do that.
Yeah.
And others don't. But that's conversations for a later.
But that really comes to that like maternal attitude. Some women, they don't mind being a second mom to a nigga. I mind. I'm not trying to have this maternal figure
because I want a man. Dude. I don't want a son. Like, I want a man.
Yeah,
if I want a baby, I'm gonna have one.
Right, but I don't want to have to teach you this, tell you, oh, this how you gotta do it. This.
So I feel like it's levels to that, right? Yeah. Like I shouldn't have to teach you basic shit, right? I shouldn't have to teach you everyday common sense. What you're supposed to be doing, the basic necessities to take care of yourself. But if there's a trade or area of strength that you see that I have and you're willing to learn from that, i.e. my craft or a talent that I might have or interest that I might have taken and I've built myself up to be, kind of fluent in it, then those are the things that I respect for you to learn from me. Yeah. However, I'm not trying to teach some nigga how to do laundry. I'm not trying to teach some nigga how to treat their friends or their family.
And the reason why that's so important for men to know too, because if you want her to push out your children, that means you probably got a full month that you're going to be having to cook, clean, do the laundry, take care of the baby. Sometimes this lady just pushed out a whole human. And if you don't know how to do none of that, if you don't have the due diligence to really double check and triple check stuff, it's really going to force a woman to really have certain resentment and also just be overworked when it comes to a lot of stuff.
And then once again, you're not going to get that soft, feminine, dainty woman that you're expecting because when did you create room for that to happen?
Right. If I always got to take control, if I always got to be the leader. And that's the thing. I think certain men be thinking like women want to lead. Because I was talking to my grandpa about that. And he was like, black women want to be in control. They want to lead. And I told him, I don't. I have to be in control and lead in my job. When I get home with my nigga, I don't want to have to even use my brain.
Right. Facts.
Like, I don't even want to have to...
And I just think that's the irony of it, is that's thrown in our face that we want to lead, but the reality of it is most black women has been forced to be in a position to lead. They have been forced to be the breadwinners of their house. They have been forced to be these homemakers that make it happen regardless of what they have or what they don't have. Like, we're forced to take on this leadership position and then in a lot of cases to to get ahead of it or to beat motherfuckers to the punch will just assume that role. And that's when it comes in that narrative or that negative talk that we want to be that way. We want to be that way.
I don't.
A lot of people don't. A lot of women don't. A lot of women have been conditioned to be that way. When that's your mode of survival and that's how you've been able to not only maintain yourself but to maintain your family, then you have no point but to be the leader. And I felt like that's what guys don't realize. We hit a whole segment in black culture, black family life, where the black men left. Yeah. And black women had to step up and
in certain cases, and I ain't gonna even, I'm gonna say this, but I also say this with a grain of salt. In certain cases, very few, it wasn't their choice to not be in their family life. But in a lot of cases, it was your decision to do certain things and to be portrayed in a certain way that got you pulled away from your family. And that's, a lot of y'all need to hold men accountable because your decisions led you to that point. Nobody forced your hand to do things a certain way. You made those choices, and that's what pulled you away from your family. And yes, there are certain racial things that happen to us, especially as black people, that played a role in that. But at the same time, like you were saying, this whole moment where women had to be leaders, I think it really threatens the ego and masculinity of black men, and that's why they be mad like that. That's why they be so much in an uproar about certain shit, because it's like, as a man, they've been constructed to have this certain identity of what a man is. And the reality is that is rooted in Eurocentric standards that doesn't apply to us as black people in the black community. If you look at other cultures, they don't subscribe to these Eurocentric standards of what a family is and stuff. Certain tribes in Africa, women run the whole, village. So I think in a way it's also kind of a double-edged sword, because we end up going back and forth with each other when in the whole grand scheme of stuff, that shit don't apply to us. But as men, y'all really have to hold yourself accountable and realize, hold yourself accountable. I think that's a big one, accountability. And I feel like, now I know some of the men that's watching it might be in an uproar because they like to argue that we as women don't hold ourselves accountable. But at the end of the day, I feel like the reality is men don't hold themselves accountable enough. Literally. And I feel like it's on a far larger magnitude than you will find women, and especially black women, holding themselves accountable, i.e. going back to what we were talking about with this whole broken home situation where we'll make jokes about how grandpa got 2-3 families, but you'll turn around and you'll blame grandma as the reason why the kids didn't do what they were supposed to do, or the kids had a bad life. He was a shitty nigga. As if these men aren't professional actors. What? They be working overtime.
And they play the long game too. And that's the part that
but my thing is, friend, how does it end up being a woman's fault that this dude is a piece of shit? Like, the decisions he made him a piece of shit, but somehow I should have been smart enough to piece that together when there's literally no social media, all of this stuff, and
exactly. And I feel like going back to this whole trend, that's another thing that it kind of calls out, is the lack of accountability men have when they do these certain things, such as making promises that they don't really have no intentions on keeping. They just want to get your hopes up. Or the fact that they got a whole family at home, but they telling you that they finna be with you for the rest of your life, knowing that he got a family at home. I don't care if you know he got a family at home. He know he's got a family at home, and that's the family that he should be
moving accordingly based on that family.
Right.
In the wise words of JT, doing all that wifey shit, knowing he don't fuck with you. Post a girl pussy in your nigga dreams. Okay, so moving on. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic because honestly, life gonna beat them niggas up anyway.
But what we gotta get into on this topic of women in male-dominated fields is a male-dominated field that I love that our women are starting to break into, such as Culturama. It's podcasting. Stop giving these niggas a mic.
No, literally, and it's so crazy because one of the things that I constantly see on my timeline is clips from this podcaster Myron Gaines, and he recently was in the news because this black girl got jumped after speaking her mind on his podcast, and a group of women, you know, just kind of like attacked her and stuff like that. And he's been known for like just basically disrespecting black women. And I think like as a whole, like that's become like such a huge thing, and there's a lot of rhetoric out there, and it's just fueling up these gender wars between us and the black community, and it's annoying.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I just hate that podcasting, especially because right now it is so heavily male dominated. It has almost given men the platform to spew this rhetoric of hate towards women, towards the society that they've ultimately created. The fact that we're rebelling against these social norms or these expectations that was put on us for whatever reason that we're supposed to uphold, but y'all don't need to uphold for whatever reason once again. But I just think that going back to this whole Myron Gaines, I don't even know what he identifies as. I don't quite care, and I don't really think it matters. However, I think it's very telling that every chance that he gets to try to demean, to demoralize, to tear down, it's always a black woman. Yeah. And he'll have men on a podcast, and the energy that he has when he's communicating with them isn't as aggressive, forceful as it is when he is talking to black women. And I think that we need to stop enabling that. Why is he allowed to call a black woman the hard ER? He called her the hard ER.
That's insane.
Hard ER.
That's crazy.
And there was a bunch of other women that sat around that table and listened to him talk about her, demean her, demoralize her, and they were quiet. That's why we be talking about pygmishas. Can't stand them.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I don't care how much money a dude got. That, I'm sorry. I just don't like that. And I think too, what I've noticed with, because I don't really follow him like that. That's not really my algorithm. But what I will say is that a lot of the women that do be on there, they don't necessarily look like black women. They look racially ambiguous. So I can't really say whether or not, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I just kind of feel like overall we really need to just see things for what it is and realize, okay, these people are not your people. But also the fact that, you know, a lot of it is rooted in their relationship to black women.
Thanks.
The reason why y'all hated Kamala has nothing to do with her work ethic and everything to do with your relationship with your mama. Yeah. Your relationship with your sister. Your relationship with dating black women. If you ain't got motion, you ain't got motion. That's not every black woman fault. So it is what it is. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, I think the reason why a lot of dudes are feeling a certain way and doing all of this stuff too is because they are starting to see, like, okay, the tide is changing. Black women are starting to get their shine on. How do we reclaim our shine? But one area that I feel like women, especially black women, are shining,
dominating, as a matter of fact.
Dominating is the fucking rap industry. And as many of you know, I am a hardcore Barb. I love Nicki Minaj, and I know that might be controversial to some people because of like just how she carry herself and how she interact with people on social media. But the reality is she's very talented. And the reality is, while y'all hate her fucking guts, every TikTok trend that y'all love has a Nicki Minaj song on the background that we literally are talking about women in male fields. It's a Nicki Minaj song underneath that trend.
Sure is.
Like, she makes hits, and at the end of the day, I think there's been a lot of spewing of hatred towards women in the rap industry, especially people like Nicki Minaj, especially people like Meg, especially people like JT, because of the way that they carry themselves unapologetically and the fact that they demand respect.
And I also feel as if they don't fit into the normal role of what men think women are supposed to be. Yeah. And I feel like I think once again, going back to this trend, they go against everything.
Yeah,
that identity that's associated with women, that dainty feminineness, they still have it, but however, there's an edge to it, there's a rawness. And also my favorite thing about women dominating the rap industry right now is the versatility. Yeah. We have a Nicki, but we also have a Doechii.
And we also have a Rhapsody.
We have a Rhapsody.
We have a Young M.A.
We have a Young M.A. Like, we have so many. Have a variety of different women who are showing different layers and different identities of what it means to be a woman. Yeah. And I feel like at this point, rap ain't for the men no more. It's for the girlies. Right. If you're listening to rap most of the time, you're listening to a girly. Like, okay, I give it to you. Every few songs, it's going to be a girly in there. And I just think that that's something that we can't ignore now, that rap, which was once associated with just men, in this day and age, right now, 2024, it's for the girls.
And it's amazing to see because, like, us specifically, we can pull from a time where it was very barren. And I think, like, you could say what the fuck you want about Nicki, but at the end of the day, her versatility is the reason why a lot of these girlies are able to come and rise to the claim to fame that they can. Like, not saying that she made a way for them, but at the end of the day, when you listen to Starships, when you listen to Roman's Revenge, when you listen to Moment for Life, when you listen to like all of these different all of the different songs in her discography, you hear all of these women that we're seeing right now
today.
Like, and that is a heavy burden to carry, and it could possibly make you bitter in certain ways. But at the end of the day, if she didn't have this range of versatility, it would still be a very narrow lane, because you have to think too, before Nicki, we had Remy Ma, we had, Lil Foxy, Kim. We had Lil Kim, and they all had a very similar sound to them, that rough, rugged, I'm a killer nigga, and also like Trina too, which was very like that rugged sound as well. But I think
rugged, raunchy, just very explicit in a way that now we're seeing more of from most of the women that are in the rap game. However, the way it's done is different, and that's what I like about it.
And you have the freedom to do any and every lane that you want to do. But yeah, so switching gears a little bit. What are you watching? What have you been watching?
Girl, stop playing. You know what we've been watching. Let's get into it. House of Villains. That's what we've been watching. Who you want to win?
I love that show. And right now, I really want Candy to win. I want Candy to win, so I have 3. I would prefer Candy or Safari or Jessie. And it's just because I think they've been playing the game in a very, like, smart way.
Surprisingly, I do want Safari to win. If it's not Safari, New York, because I feel like they did her wrong.
Yeah.
But I do like New York.
About New York, but yeah.
I do. So House of Villains is a show where they put a bunch of different reality stars from a bunch of different reality shows over the course of reality TV show history together in one house, where they compete in different challenges to see who is the greatest villain of all time. Right now, they're on season 2. And the cast is really good. So
they have a really good cast, and I feel like even with season 1, they had a pretty good cast as well. But yeah, if you're not tuned in, definitely tune in. You can watch it on Peacock. It's very entertaining.
See, but the thing that bothers me about House of Villains is I feel like they be trying to get all the black people out
They
first.
do. And I feel like in all reality TV shows, that's the case.
When it's a competition show, for sure. They're trying to get all the black people out
first.
first.
When it's a competition show, they definitely be setting the black folks up just to take their asses down. Because I think that's an unspoken rule for white people. Like, it's always going to be white meat, eat white meat.
Yeah, so I don't know. Though what I can say is I'm really, really enjoying House of Villains. I really do hope Safari wins, surprisingly, once again. I just feel like he's been the most neutral. Like, he's done his due diligence of being a villain, playing the game, but he also hasn't been just a complete asshole.
And he hasn't been predictable, which I like. He's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope he wins too, because either him or New York, but I like how he's been playing the game, and we'll see. I think we should see who wins in the next few weeks or so. So if you're not tapped in, tap in for real.
Yeah, go ahead and watch House of Villains. It's definitely a good little reality TV vibe if you're looking for something to watch. But what else you been watching, friend?
I actually just started binge watching this show, but I watched the first season and I enjoyed it. Rhythm and Flow on Netflix is also another reality competition show where contestants compete to be the best MC. In terms of judges, they have Ludacris, Lotto, and DJ Khaled this season. The previous season was a whole different set of judges, but this season is pretty good. I mean, it's cool. It's very entertaining, and it's cool to see certain people from different areas and stuff like that. I just finished it though.
You watched it. So I haven't watched the most recent episode. I'm gonna catch up on it. But I did binge watch Rhythm and Flow after being hounded. Shout out to you, mama, about watching Rhythm and Flow.
Because your people was in there.
I ain't gonna say my people, but my city was in there. Yeah. Shout out to Dono. She's a rapper from Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati since my mama had me. And the reality is, I feel like they snubbed her. For real, they really did snub her.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it. But no, if you are from Cincinnati and you watch the show, I would say, though she did ended up getting eliminated, go support her after that.
Facts.
I felt like that was my favorite part of watching this season, is that it put me on to somebody from my city who has a different sound, who is
and
around.
She was hard too.
She around the same age as me. Like, she's a very beautiful girl, and I just feel like she was snubbed. Like, the girl that she went against was good, but I feel like they only gave it to her because of what city they was in.
Yeah, and I could see that too. And when there was tension between her and Sora,
I just feel like she was the only one that kept getting better. Like, every time you seen her, from her first performance to her last performance, not only did she take their critiques and apply it, but she elevated. She was different every single time. She was good. And she was able to hold her weight with the rest of the people. Even during the cipher, which
she was good. And honestly, it was a close call with her and Detroit Diamond, which I was surprised that they picked Detroit Diamond. But like you said, I think it was the whole sentimental thing, and I think that kind of saved her a lot of times. But yeah, that's just the shows that I've been watching. I feel like Rhythm and Flow is a very good reality TV show.
It is. But I feel like it also, if you want to really see what we talking about as far as rap becoming a woman-dominated field, Rhythm and Flow is a perfect example of that, because for the 20-something contestants that they had on there,
majority
of them were female.
It was a lot.
Majority of them were female.
You know
and
who I
really
wanted to see from your city on that show?
My girl.
Yeah.
My girl. She talking about Skylar Black.
Hey, you put me on to her, but I feel like
hard.
if she had been on that show, she would have.
But you know who should have else been on that show?
Who?
My cousin. My best cousin, T Spokes. What
Shout
are you
out
talking
T
about?
Spokes. If
T
you
Spokes.
not listening, tap the fuck in.
T Spokes. What's that one girl that kept screaming West Side? No. Don't nobody do the West Side like T Spokes do the West Side. So if you ain't listening to T Spokes, go find T Spokes. TSPOKES. T Spokes.
Now, if they do a season 3, I want to see way more females on there than this season. I just want to see better like MCs. Like it was a lot of good, talented artists, and it was refreshing to get plugged into better artists, not just for rap but R&B too.
But it's also refreshing to see new artists too.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I really like this show is because they're finding a lot of underground.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that every person, if not almost all of them, before that, before come to the show, have music or was in the studio before. But I feel like it's like a fast track pace to show you what it looks like to be famous overnight. I feel like that is the beauty from it, is that they're taking all these underground artists, giving them this kind of fast track pace to show them what industry will be like in these little small techniques that they can apply now to what they already have.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like, one of the things that I feel like they do need to bring back is artist development. And I feel like this is a form of artist development for a lot of artists, which is good because a lot of folks, they think that they're ready for it. Like a perfect example, the girl LG from Philly. Like, when it came to her, I feel like she kind of felt as though I'm there, but then when you start to do these different challenges and stuff like that, you start to see, okay, there's some things that you do need to work on.
Right.
There are some things that, like as a rapper, I think that it's preserving the integrity as for rap, and it's also just propelling real stars like D Smoke, the guy that won last year, is like Grammy nominated now, and that's because he was able to get this opportunity and also just better his craft.
And I also want to say, I feel like they actually couldn't have picked better judges for this season. Now, what I will say is I didn't watch the first season, but listen, hear me out. I like the judges that they picked this season because, one, we already know DJ Khaled, he has a habit of producing hit records, no matter who you are. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can be on the DJ Khaled record.
We're the best!
Yeah!
Major League!
God did!
No, I get it.
No, but I really like that he can speak from a producer aspect of not of being able to know what it takes to create music versus just being an artist. But I feel like I also really like that Ludacris seasoned, creative, unique. I mean, when Ludacris broke onto the scene, he introduced a whole new genre of rap and creativity visually that we hadn't seen before. Then I think that, I know this is the part that you was kind of like on, but I feel like Lotto is a great addition because she did come from a previous rap competition show, and she can speak to her own personal experience of what it's like to be on a competition show, lose that competition show, and still be able to obtain success and go on to have her own career. I like the guest judges they've been bringing on too.
I like the guest judges. I feel like in a sense, yes, she can pull from her personal experience, but I feel like in terms of giving hard feedback that people can apply to their skill set, I feel like Ludacris and DJ Khaled do a better job of it.
For sure. I agree with that.
But, I do feel like, in certain situations, yeah, she can speak to being on a competition show and what it was like for her, and also letting them know, like, this ain't the end for you if you don't make it through. So I do appreciate that.
So, before we wrap up this third episode of Culturama, let's do our question of the day. So, what's the question, friend?
The question of the day is, what's a career you would choose if you didn't choose the one you're in now?
So, currently I am a photojournalist. My ultimate career goal right now is to be a documentarian, but if I could have done anything in the world, like if I had any talent, any gift, any knowledge, anything, I would probably be a rapping, singing, hip-hop astronaut. I don't know. Yeah. I was in space.
I was not expecting it at all.
No, because I really want to explore outer space, stuff like that. But I really wish I could sing. Like,
in the rapping?
I feel like it's hand in hand. Okay. You know, if you could sing, you should be able to freestyle a little bit, spit a few bars. But I think that, like an artist, like, I do feel that being able to be musically talented is a gift that I do truly envy people who are musically inclined, whether that's rapping, singing, playing an instrument. But I do feel like my gift with music comes from my ear. Yeah, I might not be able to rap, sing, none of that, but I know good music, I know good artists, I know good beats. In fact, I know good flows. I know good music when I hear it. But I do love outer space. I do think it's something about exploring the unknown, being the first to chart undocumented territory, just being able to see the world from a different perspective would be really, really dope. So I don't know. I want to do everything, if I'm being quite honest. I just want to do everything once to say I did it.
I think for me, like, I would say too as well. I would want to be like a fashion designer. Like,
I see that for you.
You know, to like make clothes and stuff. I do like to dress up, and I like watching fashion shows and stuff like that. But on the other hand, I would also want to be a hairstylist or a makeup artist, because like that's something that I enjoy too to do. And also, it's just like, you know, it's nice to beautify people and see how confident they are after the fact. Like, and I would definitely have 1,001 rules for you hoes to follow and charge you $700.
I ain't getting in her chair.
$700 for some bohemian booty length braids.
And that's the exact reason why I would not be getting in her chair. And I feel like you just the type to just pop somebody in the back of their head with a comb.
Because you need to be sitting still. Well, that is officially a wrap on the third episode of Culturama,
where we're bringing the culture and the drama. Please let us know if you have any questions for us, what y'all want us to talk about next, what y'all want us to see, stories y'all want us to tell. Let us know something. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all of that. So, you know, follow the vibes.
Us on Instagram at Culturama Pod, and we'll see y'all next time.
That's a wrap.
Bye.